Good afternoon, Mike Pugh with Porch Enclosure Systems. Today we're going to talk about the PES difference. So first off, you know, at Porch Enclosure Systems, we study products. We want to make sure that we're always using the best products on the market. We're always one step ahead of what other people are using. We want to make sure that we're providing the best service and the best quality to all of our clients. As you can look here in our factory, we have the ability to build just about anything. We can use any material we choose to use. We source from all the manufacturers directly. We have some of the widest capabilities. We can use anything from truck tarp PVC to our Top Gun fabrics that we use currently on our porch enclosure systems. We have access to it all. We choose to use very specific materials for very specific reasons. One is longevity, quality, and reputation. At Porch Enclosure Systems, we don't cut corners. We want to make sure that everything we do is at the utmost highest quality and customer satisfaction. Our systems are designed from day one to last anywhere from 5 to 10 years with proper care and maintenance. We have systems that are 15 years old out on the market that we've never had to replace, restitch, redo anything to, and that comes into the quality of the materials and ownership. And most of our clients expect that from us. Porch Enclosures has been in existence since 2012, but with the knowledge and expertise of the industry combined here in-house, we have over 100 years of canvas manufacturing. And our background was in the marine industry, and we still have a very heavy active marine division here. So we've taken all that years of knowledge and combined that to build PES. But in order to understand who we are and to stay where we are, we also want to know who else is in the market and what they're using. So recently we've come to learn that one of the biggest communications when you're dealing with a website is how do you convey the quality of a product when you look at two pictures and online they look very similar. All the websites say the same thing, they all say the same words, they all talk about, clear vinyl, but no one really ever takes the time to explain what the true difference is. There is what's called marine extruded vinyl, and there is called pressed polished vinyl. And they are two very, very distinct things. And I'll walk you over here, and I'm just going to show you what this is what's called marine extruded vinyl. Basically, it's a clear film that's on a big giant roll, and you can hear it. It's sticky. It comes off of here, and it looks fairly clean and clear. It's kind of hard to see here, but there's a little bit of distortion, but it's very mild. But notice there's no protective covering on that roll. At Shore Industries, all of our sheets come in these large drums. And when they arrive, we take them out of the drum and they are laid out like this. Now you'll notice that it is cut to a very particular size. These are called pressed polished sheets. It is a completely different manufacturing process. And the reason we use this is the glass-like clarity, no distortions. They are fixed sizes because the process of the plates that they use under high pressure and high heat and rapid cooling is what gives it its clarity. But more importantly, there's a shrinkage factor involved. And a lot of people don't talk about that. Extruded vinyls have up to 6% shrinkage factor. And in some of the other companies that we are comparing to today, in their literature, they have fit assurance guarantees. They talk about how they make sure that they fit because they add filler strips in because they know, and it says in their documentation that they have up to fit 5%. What the reality is it's closer to 6%. So imagine a 100-inch wide curtain and you lose 6%. You have 6 inches of shrinkage on each side. We call it the hourglass effect. That is one of the reasons why we only use the pressed polish. It has less than 1% shrinkage factor. But you'll also notice is that every single sheet in that drum comes wrapped in a protective paper layer. What's unique about porch enclosure systems, that piece of paper will stick with that piece of clear vinyl every step of manufacturing. It's never exposed or run across a table. It's always rolled so that it's completely protected inside and out. And that's exactly how you receive it as a finished product. It's completely protected from inside and out so that when you unroll it and you install it, the last person to take that piece of paper off of that clear is you, the homeowner. So today we're going to take a look at a product that we purchased from another company that's in the same space. One who, quite frankly, we lose a lot of business to because of what I would call misinformation, what people don't know. And sometimes what you don't know, you don't know. This is a product here. From all outward appearances, it looks like a porch enclosure. It looks very standard. It's got, side fabric on it. You got your clear vinyl. You've got a little bit of top. You got some, what we call this is a ketter bead that'll slide into a piece of tracking. Has your zippers down the side. Very similar to a PES construction. Not a whole lot of differences. One thing I'll note down here is they've welded the clear vinyl to the product, but there is an exposed edge here. So you can see that this is all open and exposed. They do have a spot for a bottom pocket. We have some tie down straps. Overall, it looks like a porch enclosure system. But some of the key things that we start looking at, it's the material itself. It's a very shiny, industrial, tarp-like material. And in this particular case, we're talking about what we call 18-ounce truck tarp PVC. So if you're ever driving down the side of a highway and you look at a tractor and trailer or anything with a big black tarp, exact same material, zero difference. I look at the finish. I've got unfinished stitching to the bottom, so you have an exposure here. So this leads to opportunities for it to be ripped open over time. It's a little long. These are the said filler strips that came with it. There is a right and left side to this, but one of the things as we were going through and trying to understand the product a little bit better is we noticed that at the bottom and top there's a very significant hole in every piece, and that's their process is where they stick a tack in it to hold it in place while they start building it out. But one thing we noticed was this is already starting to come apart. We would use what's called a hot knife. We burn the edges of this to keep it from fraying. My assumption is that these are designed to line up so that the same length is at the top and the bottom. But as we put this together, we noticed that it's either got a huge gap here. So if we were lining up the zippers here, we end up with a huge gap down here. So again, not really sure how that's supposed to work, but that's what we're dealing with. Standard weighted bottom bar, nothing fancy. There are little pockets designed to just slide it in here. But I do note it's significantly smaller than the curtain. This curtain we ordered at 48 inches. We ended up with 45 inches here on the main curtain. And then we have these two filler pieces that bring it to a total of 51 inches. So it's already too wide. But we also realize is you can't just put one filler piece in. You had to put both filler pieces in because the bead that we need for the track wasn't there. So we have to install both. So it's too wide for the system. One of the other things that we noticed was, they are using aluminum track, very similar to your PES system. Got some unusual flaring at the ends here, not really necessary, but you have it on both ends. But more importantly, what I noticed is that all the tracks were cut in half. So you've got to be able to get both of these tracks, line them up. And my guess is why these are flared out is so that it gives you a little bit of flexibility to ensure that these curtains are actually going together properly. But just to be able to put one curtain together, you have to put the two tracks together like that. All these little details really matter. One thing I did want to point out is that when we did receive the packaging, it arrived very nice and clean. The packaging was really presented well, great instructions. I would say they get a good A in the delivery of the product to us. But as we went through, we were going through the hardware, we noticed you have a pulley system, which puts the curtains up and down. The cleats are okay, they're no big issue there. Ground anchors are okay, but these are not self-drilling screws. So none of the track is pre-drilled. So we're going to have to pre-drill all the track in order to use the screws. We have these, we call them pad eyes, but they're just nylon plastic. Pulleys are very similar to what we use, so really no major differences there. This is what is called a coil zipper. So it is a continuous loop up and down both sides here. There's no reason not to use it or to use it. In this particular application, coil zippers are just fine. We use a chain zipper, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I'll tell you where the real challenge comes in. I know what I'm doing. I've worked with coil zippers my whole life, but I could tell you for someone who doesn't know how to do these, to get these two zippers to start, it is, and trust me, and I know what I'm doing, it is a process to get these things in. And there is a right side and a wrong side, so you always got to double check that I put it in on the right side. So if you're as frustrated as I am just watching me do this, imagine you just spent $900 on this curtain and you're sitting here, it's cold out or it's hot out or whatever it is, you're by yourself and you're trying to put this thing together, and this is what you're having to fight with to get it started. Okay, so I quit. To me, that's just, you just spent $900 on the system. That should not be what it is. And more importantly, the fact that we're talking about $900, the initial quote was for $397 for this curtain. So we proceeded ahead to go ahead and go through the ordering process. You know, everybody has challenges, but we pretty much had to chase down this order ourselves. The website presented itself to scheduling very easily. We never received our calls. The fabrication call, we had some clear objectives with some cutouts and some difficulties that we needed that were never addressed. But then when we got the final estimate to go ahead and order this, this curtain winded up costing us over $900 for what started off at a $397 estimate. Each one of these filler strips ended up costing a little over $200 each. Then there was the pulley kit. Everything was an add-on. So by the time I said we got finished, it was over $900. And more importantly, which it may be hard to see in this video, but there is a seam right here in the clear vinyl that goes all the way across. I'm 5'11", and basically standing mounted, that is in my direct line of view. So was never told there was going to be a seam here, was given options on how the glass could be sized. It could go up to 72 inches, but clearly they just welded a piece to a piece to create that opportunity. And that's kind of where, when we start talking about porch enclosures here in a second, and we're going to do a side-by-side comparison, why we use a particular type of clear vinyl, but we do have flexibility in how we present that to our clients. So we've seen our competitors, we see what they look like. And again, if you're just looking on a website and you're looking at a picture of this, you know, this is what you're looking at, you know, in all appearances, it looks very similar to what I'm about to show you. But this is where the difference comes in. This is a porch enclosure system. You're going to receive it just like this. You're going to see that our top track is already pre-installed. This did not come installed. You see that there are cords already going through the track. All the track is pre-drilled. So we'll come over here and we'll go ahead and open this up. And you'll see that that paper continues to unwind the entire length of the clear vinyl. Okay. You'll also notice that the bottom bar is already pre-installed. It's already screwed in place, locked in, so it can't come out of the pockets. You'll notice that all of our zipper ends are nice and clean and burned. This little cutout here, I'll explain what that's for in a second. We've got triple line stitching on all the zippers, double line stitching on tops and bottoms. All of our strings are already pre-cut to length for your system. And I'll go ahead and separate the paper just to show that when we put this together, we believe in a complete total sandwich construction. So there's no clear visible edge of the vinyl on any portion of this. We take the time to make sure that every inch of this is as presentable inside as it is outside to our clients. And again, you can see the double stitching on all the zippers to make sure everything is secured for a long period of time. You also notice, just in the clarity of this curtain, it appears and sounds a little stiffer. You can hear the crinkling in it. It's actually a good thing. That's the stiffness in a glass. On this here, the roll vinyl, it's designed to be very pliable and stretchy, so it can be pulled out. This has less than 1% shrinkage. There's no filler strips required. There's no additional fit assurance guarantee zippers that need to be added to anything. What you get is a fully assembled, ready to go system. No extra money, no extra cost. When we quote this system, this curtain here, same size as this curtain, that's a $700 curtain completely installed, ready to ship to you. This was a $397 curtain that by the time we added everything on was over $900. And a lot of assembly still required. Where one of our bigger differences is our shipping. Our shipping does cost a little bit more. Reason being is we ship a fully assembled system. When you get your system, your tracks and your zippers are fully attached. All you have to do is attach them to your building. So we don't use coil zipper, we use a chain zipper. And the reason being is it's got a simple start stop, just like you have on your jacket. You just slide it in. It's that simple that your system zips together just like that. And that's your PES system. Okay, so and just to kind of do a little comparison of the hardware kits that you're receiving, again, like I pointed out, all your installation screws for your tracks are not self-tapping. When we do use ours, they're all self-tapping sheet metal screws that have aggressive thread to tie into wood, aluminum, whatever the case may be, all with a washer on there, so you have a nice grip pull. Pulleys. They have two singles and a double, and I'm not really sure on their configuration because basically you've got one rope that comes up and then goes over, and then you got another rope that comes up, so you need a single double, and then we put a second double over to go down to your cleat. So you should have a single double double, but you notice we also put a spacer on ours. The reason for the spacer, if you're screwing that in, it sits at an angle off the curtain like this, where when we put ours in, it creates a nice straight spacing to allow that pulley system to hang straight down. And whether it's a single or a double, it gives you that spacing so that all the ropes are being pulled straight up and down and not at an odd angle. Cleats are fairly similar. There's not a lot of differences there. We do offer different options if you request them, but these are our standard cleats. But pad eyes, plastic, stainless steel. So it's the little things that make the difference. Little gadgetry things like straps like this. These are roll-up straps. Great idea, but they're built out of basically Velcro with a little strap on it. Velcro sometimes is necessary, but we avoid it at all costs. We do not like to use Velcro under any circumstances unless we absolutely do not have an option. Velcro is always the weakest link of any kind of system. It will break down in UV so rapidly, and then the stickiness over time wears out. So it's great when it's new, won't give you a long lifetime. Now they're supplying ground anchors automatically. We do not. Multiple reasons why we don't. Not every application is the same. Not every anchoring system is the same. So this is one thing that this is a great recommendation, but again, it's not something I'm going to swear by this is going to work best for your situation. But the other thing is it's very small, thin, appears to be stainless. This is marine grade stainless. We use 2 heavy duty fasteners, much heavier gauge. I mean, just compare the differences between the two. You just paid $900 for this system. Our system would have cost you $700. A lot of things are really key and important to that. And that's, the construction of a curtain, sides, bottoms, tops, clear vinyl, all the same. Stitching, but it's details. It's the finish on the bottoms. It's how hard and difficult was it for you to assemble it. Again, you saw how long it took me to fumble with that zipper. And I would like to tell you it's acting or playing to make it look it. I know how to do those things. It should take 30 seconds. That took forever. I'm already lost patience. Over here, you look at the quality of the finishes. Everything is meticulously detailed. We make sure that all the stitching is locked over the edges. There's nothing short of anything. So even on here, they're crossing over the bottoms. This makes sure that you don't have any openings or any flarings. Always double, triple stitched on all of our sides. So at the end of the day, when you're comparing apples to apples, you're not always an apple to apple. In this case, I'm going to say you've got an apple over here and you got a grape. Fruits, but not in the same family. They're not the same quality. Details matter. Knowing what the difference is. Pictures don't always say everything. Make sure you do your homework. Do your due diligence. Call us today, 410-775-5555. Talk to one of our team members. We'll get you straight.